Welcome to Fast Keto. I'm your host, Ketogenic Girl. Hey guys, welcome to this special bonus episode I'm doing today just to talk a little bit about my recent high protein experiment. I had a lot of questions about it and I wanted to share. I am your host, Vanessa Spina. I am the best-selling author of the book and cookbook Keto Essentials and creator of the 28-Day Ketogenic Girl Challenge. And I am also your host here on Fast Keto. And I love talking about ketosis, my favorite word, my absolute favorite thing to geek out about, and I get to do that all day long right here on Fast Keto with all of you. So I want to talk a little bit about why I did this experiment, what my results were, and what I learned from it. All right, guys, I am so excited to tell you about the brand new version of my free ebook, Keto Reset. I first released it in 2015. I spent the entire summer working on this to make a brand new updated version, and you can get your free copy by going to ketogenicgirl.com, click on free ebook, and you can sign up for my newsletter and you will receive your free copy of the book. It covers so many different topics, including finding your optimal protein range, how to use the different macronutrients to your benefit, a starter grocery list. It's such a great place to start, and a guide to quitting sugar. I added so many new sections and expanded it, and I'm really happy with the final result. I think you guys will get a ton out of it. And if you are not a beginner to keto, there's still a ton of great information in there that you'll find. It's also a great little book to send over to anyone that you know who might be interested in getting started on keto or just learning more about the science behind it and how to test for ketosis, and all of these different things are in the book. So I hope that you enjoy it. And if you sign up for my newsletter, just know I don't send out a ton of stuff, maybe once a month at the most. If there's something I've come across that's interesting, I don't send out a weekly newsletter. I don't really like getting emails all that often myself, but when I do find something interesting that I think that you will enjoy, sometimes I'll send out a new recipe that I've worked on for the blog, or just something, an article or study that I think you might find interesting. But for the most part, it's not a high volume newsletter. So you can know that if you receive something from me, it's something I think you'll really find valuable. So you can go to ketogenicgirl.com and click on free ebook, enter your name and email, and you'll get your free copy of my brand new ebook, Keto Reset. I recommend you check out my 28-Day Ketogenic Girl Challenge. What it is a full 28-day meal plan and program that includes all the recipes and foods that you need to eat for 28 days. I call it the 28-Day Challenge because it's just a great way to get past all the information overwhelm. There's so much information online about keto, and this way you can just get past that. All the macros are calculated for you to get into a state of ketosis, and I was able to do that by using tried and true, proven macro approaches that I've developed over several years of doing the keto diet and working with over 3,000 people to date on this program. Our Ketogenic Girl community in the members group is incredible. Everyone in there is so supportive, providing helpful tips and hints and sharing their successes and struggles and challenges as well in the group together, because we're all in this together gaining more health. The 20-Day Challenge program comes with weekly shopping lists, meal plan overviews, a guide to testing yourself and interpreting the results for keto, and it also comes with my support and coaching in our members only group. So go check it out at ketogenicgirl.com. It's the 28-Day Challenge, and any purchase of the 20-day meal plans gets you access into the challenge. You can choose to get the program either soft copy or with a printed copy as well. It's printed on beautiful paper, spiral bound, and I ship it out to you the same day. So go check it out, the 28-Day Ketogenic Girl Challenge at ketogenicgirl.com. A few disclaimers. By listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this podcast as medical advice
advice as I am not a qualified healthcare provider. The information presented on this podcast is for educational purposes only. Ketogenic Girl is not qualified to provide medical advice. Consult your own physician for any medical issues that you may be having. This entire disclaimer also applies to any guests or contributors to this podcast. Prior to beginning a ketogenic diet, you should undergo a full health screening with your physician to confirm that a keto diet is suitable for you and to rule out any conditions or contraindications that may pose risks or that are incompatible with a ketogenic diet. A keto diet may or may not be appropriate for you if you have any kind of health condition, whether known to you or unknown, so you must consult your physician to find this out. Anyone under the age of 18 should consult with their physician and their parents or legal guardian.
The main reason why I did it is I have been reading a lot of Dr. Ted Naiman's work about his protein leverage satiety theory. I like to say satiety. Some of you like satiety. You can actually say it both ways. Yes, satiety goes both ways, but I know some of you prefer satiety, so I'll try and say satiety. But if you look it up, you can see it's actually pronounced both ways. And I posted a video about that as well because so many people were upset about me saying satiety. But maybe it's a Canadian thing. Maybe it's an international thing because I grew up overseas and I learned it from some Brits or some Aussies. I don't know. If any of you know, feel free to tell me. But yeah, I'll try to say satiety here because I know that's how most of you like to hear it. So anyhow, I had read about his protein leverage satiety theory. And he spoke about a lot of people having cravings in the evening for certain foods. And that was coming from the fact that there's been a lot of protein dilution in our diets over the last maybe 50,000 years. We went from eating closer to 20 to 30% protein back in the day of our great grandparents and ancestors when we were not in our modern days of convenience that we are now. And in the last 60 years, 70 years, especially the last 100 years, we've had a lot of gradual protein dilution creep over time that we've gone down to, I think his stats said that the average American eats about 11% protein. And instead of that, we've replaced a lot of our nutritional intake with fat and carb. And all you have to do is look around at the state of our society today with the epidemic levels of obesity, diabetes, cancer, which it has been propagating at an alarming rate, heart disease, all of these chronic conditions, which Dr. Ben Beekman, who is a keto researcher, says all modern chronic non-infectious disease stems from metabolic syndrome in some way, some kind of metabolic dysregulation. And a lot of that can be attributed to the fact that we have very high carb diets that most of us follow because it has been presented by the media, by the government, by various institutions as the healthiest diet for us to partake in, as the most nutritionally beneficial. And keto has been kind of reversing all of that. And it's one of the things that I love about being in the keto space is being able to question things all the time and not staying static, but learning. And I like learning. And I find the best way to learn is by trying out crazy things. I tried out zero carb this spring, and most of the summer. And it felt like a natural progression to try out a high protein protocol.
Hey guys, I want to tell you about a super fun giveaway contest that I'm doing from now until the end of September. You can enter by going to iTunes and leaving me a rating or review. You will enter to win a free copy of my Build Your Day meal plans. I'll ship them to you. They have over 200 delicious keto recipes, and you can custom build your own meal plan day by day by using the recipes and all the forms in there that I have. There are tons of resources in there and so many easy to make recipes. I also have a no-cook version of the plans, and you as a winner can choose which one you get, the regular Build Your Day or the no-cook Build Your Day. And these meal plans are an extension pack as a part of the 28-day challenge. They retail for $249, but if you are a member of the 28-day challenge, they're only $49, and I will ship you one for free if you are the winner of this contest. So to enter, you can go to iTunes and leave me a rating or review anytime between now and the end of September, and your rating or review will enter you into the contest with one entry. And you can go to Ketogenic Girl under contest giveaway and
find all of the details and full contest rules there. It is open to anyone living in the US, Canada, UK, Australia, and parts of Europe as well. So go ahead and leave me a rating or review. Go to Ketogenic Girl under giveaway contest to find out more from the drop-down menu with all the full rules and requirement information there. So good luck to the winner, and thanks in advance for leaving me a rating or review. I can't wait to read it. So high protein protocol is doing 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 protein to fat. So for every 1 gram of fat, you would have 2 grams of protein or 3 grams of protein. And I did this in an unsystematic way. I didn't plan out my days, as you may have seen when Jimmy Moore and Dr. John Lemansky did their high protein experiment. They planned out their days. They had a set calorie and they were doing 3-to-1 protein to fat every day. What I did is just eat intuitively. I wanted to eat from just hunger, listen to my body, but make sure that when I did eat, I was focusing and prioritizing protein, doing 0 carb, and moderating my fat. So for example, if a food I was going to have at a meal had a 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 protein to fat ratio, then I could have that food as a part of this protocol. So for example, lean chicken breast has a 3-to-1 protein to fat. By adding a tablespoon of mayo to it, it's a little bit closer to 2-to-1. If you look at bacon, however, the fat and protein is closer to 1-to-1. So I didn't have regular bacon while I was doing this. I did turkey bacon because turkey bacon is closer to 3-to-1. I did scrambled eggs with 1 whole egg with 1 egg yolk and then about 7 egg whites. That's a 3-to-1 protein to fat ratio. So that's how I went about the experiment. I ate when I was hungry. I ate until I was completely satisfied. And I didn't eat when I wasn't hungry. I didn't force myself to eat anything I didn't want to. It was a very intuitive experience, just listening to my body when it was hungry and not eating when it wasn't. And I really enjoyed the intuitive eating aspect of it. I'll talk a little bit about my experiment here, but some of the results I had were pretty surprising to me because I was able to stay in ketosis the entire time. Now, this 3-to-1 or 2-to-1 approach is not a traditional ketogenic diet by definition, which is a high fat, moderate protein, low carb. This is closer to what some would call 0 carb diet, but it got me into ketosis. So any diet that would get you into ketosis could be considered to be a ketogenic diet. And this diet for me got me into ketosis. I was eating 0 to 1% carb, which usually was just trace carbs from spices or the trace carbs in eggs. And I was just eating protein and moderating fat. And if you want to look specifically at my actual meals, my actual macros, I posted all of them on my Instagram. And I shared exactly what I ate per day in grams and percentages with photos of every single meal. So you can see exactly how I did it. And I also posted my blood glucose and ketones. So what I experienced, I noticed increased energy. I noticed increased strength during my workouts. And for about half the time I was doing this, I was in Utah hiking and doing some strenuous activity. And the other half, I was doing little to no activity. So the results stayed consistent during the entire week, whether I was doing a high amount of activity and whether I was doing little to no activity. I had slightly higher blood glucose. I think the highest it went was 94, but I was never kicked out of nutritional ketosis the entire time during the experiment, which was about 10 days long. And my ketones were always above 0.5, which is the start of nutritional ketosis, and went as high as 1.4. So I was always in ketosis. My blood glucose was usually in the 80s. And the first few days, blood glucose was higher, sort of in 90, 92, 94, and ketones were 0.5, 0.6, 0.7. But as the week went on, and the longer that I did it, I even had up to 180 grams of protein per day, usually around 70 to 100 grams of fat. And I had, like I said, 0, maybe 1, 2, 3 grams of carb. And I was able to stay in ketosis, maintain ketosis the entire time, and my body adapted to it very rapidly. So my blood glucose got lower, went into the 80s the longer that I did it, even though I kept increasing my protein higher and higher, 160 grams, 170 grams, 180 grams. I went to my upper limit. I was never kicked out. And I had tried this before and I was kicked out of ketosis, but I was still eating carbs. And this was the first time I ever tried it, where I was isolating just the protein, high protein with moderate fat, and cutting out all the carbs.
Hey guys, just taking a really quick break to talk about the 28-day Ketogenic Girl Challenge. If you're interested in doing a ketogenic diet for yourself, it's a great place to start. I teach you everything about how to follow a keto diet to get yourself into nutritional ketosis, and it includes 28 days of meal plans. It comes with weekly shopping lists, how to interpret results, how to test yourself, a complete guide to getting started on keto. If you've been keto for a while and you're just not getting the results that you want to in terms of your health or fat loss, or you are brand new to keto, the 28-day challenge is a great option because it also comes with my free coaching and support in our members Facebook group. And you can post any questions that you have about the meal plans, about keto, and I am there supporting you. We have an amazing community in our group. I like to call it the happiest place on earth because everybody in there is so excited about following keto, about having found something that really works well for them. And everyone in there is just so kind, caring, generous, and supportive. And it's a really fun place to be and hang out. So if you'd like more info on it, you can find it at ketogenicgirl.com. And it's the 28-day Ketogenic Girl Challenge. And now back to our interview.
That may not be the case for everyone. It was the case for me. I am very insulin sensitive. I recently had my blood work done. My fasting insulin was 2.1, which is below the reference range. My A1C is 4% or 76, about very, very low blood glucose, very low insulin. So because of this, my body may be able to handle such high levels of protein. But Dr. John Lemansky just asked me on a podcast that we did reviewing some of these results, which is coming out next week, at what protein grams, what were the protein levels that kicked you out of ketosis? And I was like, I never got kicked out of ketosis. I ate as much as I could. And the highest that I was able to eat on one day was just over 180 grams. I pushed past my hunger. I already was fully satisfied a little bit just to test it, but I couldn't eat more than that. And for that reason, it really shows me a couple of things. I did experience the satiety leverage from eating more protein in that I couldn't eat more than that. I barely could get to 180 grams. And I was so full that the thought of eating more was really unattractive to me. It was really unappealing to me. And I do believe that that says a lot about the satiety leverage of eating a lot of protein. All of my cravings in the evening were gone for carbs. So that also leads, to confirm some of the theories that Dr. Ted Naiman has presented about how people snack and crave things in between meals and in the evening, especially because they haven't gotten their essential nutrient needs met during the day. And when you're eating that much protein, the bioavailability and absorption of micronutrients from meat is so high that you very easily meet your essential amino acid intake. You easily meet your essential fatty acid intake if you're also eating fat with it, which I was. And to me, that's still a ketogenic diet because I was doing zero carb. If I had been eating 10 to 20 grams of carb at that high level of protein, I may have been kicked out. Since I finished doing the protocol, I have increased my protein beyond the range that I believed it could be in before. I'm eating closer to 100 to 120 grams of protein per day. And I even added back in the carbs to test, and my ketones went up, my blood sugar went down. So the conclusion that I have from all of this is that protein moderation may be necessary for someone who is insulin resistant. If you eat more protein, if you are diabetic, if you are insulin resistant, your blood sugar will rise. If you are insulin sensitive, if you have repaired your insulin sensitivity from doing keto, from doing intermittent fasting, and you control the carbs to near 0 to 1%, you may be able to tolerate more protein and still be in ketosis, as long as you are also having moderate fat. And that is just the result that I had. It may not work for anyone else, but I do think it's interesting. I really appreciate and like Dr. Ted Naiman's work, and he has some great videos on YouTube. Also at Diet Doctor, he recently did a presentation on the low carb cruise as well. There's lots of resources that he has out there, and I do believe that his protein leverage satiety theory has a lot of validity to it. I experienced it and I enjoyed having higher levels of satiety. I did notice higher hunger in the morning, but I don't know if that's necessarily from reducing the carbs. It may have been because I was moderating the fat more. I don't think that it's necessarily because I was having more protein, but some people, Dr. John Lemansky, for example, he experienced hunger right after eating a meal, and so did Jimmy Moore. And I didn't really experience that. I think that I really was eating a lot of protein. I was eating well, and I was eating also somewhat close to my daily caloric intake. So I wasn't in a huge caloric deficit, whereas I know both of them were. For me, my caloric level was between 1250 and 1500 a day, which is not that different from where I am typically. So I wasn't at a huge caloric deficit, and I really spiked my protein. I mean, over 180 grams in a day, and was able to completely stay in ketosis. So I found this really interesting. I hope that you find some of my wacky experimentation interesting as well. And as I mentioned, I shared all of the data on my Instagram. So if you're curious why I did it, what I experienced, and what I learned from it, I hope you found that interesting. I have definitely decided to kind of evolve my keto and increase my protein intake from here, because it seems that I may have restored so much insulin sensitivity, and, I have such low blood glucose now that I can tolerate these higher levels of protein as long as the carbs are controlled. For myself personally, I like to eat meat, so I would rather eat twice the amount of protein that I was before, sacrifice some of the carbs, some of the dark chocolate or coconut butter, or some of the maybe cauliflower and things that I was having before, instead to eat more protein and more fat. And that's just me. If you're someone who doesn't really like meat as much, you prefer to eat a lot of big salads, a lot of grilled vegetables and those kinds of things, then it may not be something for you. But I did find it really interesting, and I hope that you find some of this information interesting as well. Dr. John Lemansky and I do a deep dive on all of this, on his experience with it, on amino acids, on caloric intake and deficits versus the hormonal theory of fat loss, how to burn fat. We delve into all of that on the podcast that is coming out early next week. So I hope that you enjoy tuning into that. Thank you so much for listening today, and I hope that if you like today's episode, you can stop by and leave me a rating or review. This month, I am running a giveaway contest, and you will be entered to win if you leave me a rating or review. My Build Your Day meal plans, I will ship them to you. So be sure to take a moment just to head over there and leave me your thoughts on the podcast. I really love reading them and hearing what you think of the show, and it helps me to be able to continue to do this and keep providing interesting content and guests for you. So until the next episode, I hope you have a fat-fueled rest of your day. And if you are interested in learning more about the 28-day Ketogenic Girl Challenge, you can check it out at ketogenicgirl.com. I also have my free ebook available there, which I just released. So be sure to check that out, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Bye for now.